Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out Britain in 1981, a lovely jubbly year with a big wedding.
Welcome to the Retro Rollback as we continue our series looking at Britain in the 1980s. This time it's 1981.
Alright, y'all be sure to go to Retro Rollback and like and subscribe.
The year began with a high-profile arrest as 34-year-old Peter Sutcliffe, known as the Yorkshire Ripper, was arrested in Sheffield on the suspicion of the murder of 13 women and 7 other attacks across northern England since 1975. 4 Labour MPs, Shirley Williams...
Hang on, did he do it? He was arrested, but did he do it? Peter Sutcliffe. There he is. Also known as Peter Coonan, was an English serial killer who was convicted of murdering 13 women and attempted to murder 7 others. He looks kind of like Charles Manson in this photo, doesn't he? You can't trust a guy that looks like that, apparently. I guess he did it, y'all. I think he did it. Whoa, this guy has a huge... trial and conviction. He was charged on January 5th, 1981. At his trial that May, he pleaded not guilty to 13 charges of murder, but guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. The basis of his defense was that he claimed to be the tool of God's will. Maybe that could work for Luigi Mangione. I cook it a pizza, I kill it a people.
4 Labour MPs, Shirley Williams, Roy Jenkins, Bill Rogers and David Owen, known at the time as the Gang of Four, announced plans to form a separate political party in January, the Social Democratic Party, or the SDP. The party was officially founded in March 1981 and ceased in 1988, when it merged into the Liberal Democrats as we know them today. Into February, and there were mass job losses as Scotland's only car manufacturing plant announced its closure. Owners Peugeot Talbot's decision to close the Linwood factory after years of serious financial losses and low production resulted in 4,800 job losses when the gates closed for the final time in May.
Talbot? I've never heard of Talbot. I mean, I've heard of Talbots, but not the car company. Talbot Cars. Look at that. I like the logo. It was started in 1902. Wow. STD Motors. That's an unfortunate name. Oh no. Oh, no. No. Okay. In the 80s, that was exactly the kind of car people wanted, I think. Very 80s. I kind of like that. I like this. Look at that. Samba Cambrio. Oh, I mean, that's a functional vehicle. These wheels are so tiny. That looks wrong. That looks like a cartoon van. Okay. So they've had a few different logos. Maybe that's part of the problem. See, this is a good logo, right? Whoa. Wow. Yeah, no. I don't like that blue car.
The deindustrialisation of the UK was escalating, and on the back of the Linwood closure, the National Coal Board announced widespread pit closures, with 50 pits earmarked to close, resulting in around 50,000 job losses.
Oh my God!
Although a reprieve was given to some of these pits after union negotiations. In what was a pretty depressing start...
50,000 jobs? Damn. At this time, they didn't even know it was coming, did they? With Thatcherism and closing of the mines. Okay.
After the year, there was a glimmer of hope in the shape of a royal wedding to look forward to. On the 24th of February, Prince Charles announced his engagement to Lady Diana Spencer, with the wedding scheduled for later in the year. The next day, there was a meeting...
This photo. Wow, they didn't know it was coming, did they?
The next day, there was a meeting of leaders, and Margaret Thatcher travelled to Washington, D.C. to meet with newly sworn-in American President Ronald Reagan. To March, and there were no more excuses for shirking the DIY jobs around the house. Sainsbury's opened up their first home-based DIY superstore in the UK to rival B&Q, who'd been in towns across the country since the late 1960s.
Okay.
The Troubles in Ireland were at the forefront of the news in 1981, and the hunger strikes were the main story in March. A
Hunger
showdown
strike.
between the prisoners and the Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. Hunger striker Bobby Sands was elected as a Member of Parliament during the strike, promoting media interest from around the world. The strike was eventually called off after 10 prisoners had starved themselves to death, including Sands,
Oh
whose
my
funeral was attended
God.
by 100,000 people.
100,000 people at a funeral? Wow. Oh my God. What? I gotta look that up. It was the culmination of a 5-year protest during the Troubles by Irish Republican prisoners in Northern Ireland. The protest began as the blanket protest in 1976 when the British government withdrew special category status, prisoner of war rather than criminal status, for convicted paramilitary prisoners. In 1978, the dispute escalated into the dirty protest where prisoners refused to leave their cells to wash and covered the walls of their cells with excrement. They're only hurting themselves, right? In 1987, prisoners participated in the first hunger strike, which ended after 53 days. The second hunger strike took place in 1981 and was a showdown between the prisoners and the Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. One hunger striker, Bobby Sands, was elected as a Member of Parliament during the strike. Wow! Prompting media interest from around the world. The strike was called off after 10 prisoners had starved themselves to death. The strike radicalized Irish nationalist politics and was the driving force that enabled Sinn Féin to become a mainstream political party. I don't know. I'm sorry for saying that wrong. My gosh, y'all, it takes a flex of my willpower just to not eat ice cream every day. I cannot imagine just not eating and dying from it. Whew. Man. That's a tragedy.
1981 was the year where owning a home computer became far more accessible, as Sinclair launched the ZX81, a basic home computer manufactured by
tiny.
Timex in their factory in Dundee.
Oh.
The ZX81 boasted 1 kilobit of memory and an 8-bit processor with a
Wow.
cassette deck to load games and software, and offered a price tag of under £80. Making it extremely popular with over 1.5 million units sold worldwide.
£80. That's not bad. Although, in today's money, that's like £800,000. Check my math.
On TV, there was a changing of the guards in one of the UK's most popular programmes. After 7 years playing the title role, Tom Baker left Doctor Who to be replaced by Peter Davison in the final episode of Logopolis. Baker had been the longest-running Doctor on the series.
Wait, I'm sorry. Who was he replaced by? Peter Davidson. I don't know if I know that Doctor Who. Oh, right. Okay. I recognize this guy. Yeah, I like Tom Baker, y'all. I'm sure Peter Davidson did just fine, but I like Tom Baker. He's my Doctor Who.
On the 29th of March, London saw a new event that was to carry on and grow throughout the years. Athletes and amateur runners alike took to the streets of the capital to compete in the very first London Marathon. Nearly 8,000 runners started the race, with just over 6,000 crossing the finishing line.
Whoa. 2,000 people gave up? Wow. Man, I don't know if I could do that. How far is the London Marathon? 26 miles? No, y'all. No, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't finish. There's no way. No way.
With just over 6,000 crossing the finishing line.
That's pretty good, actually.
March ended with the cinema release of one of the most iconic British films of all time. The story of athletes Eric Liddell and Harold Abrams in Chariots of Fire.
Chariots
The
of
film
Fire.
won many awards.
I thought Chariots of Thunder. I remember hearing that theme song everywhere at the time. Everywhere. But I don't remember anything about the movie.
Awards, including Best Original Score for Vangelis' hit theme tune. 1981 is known for the inner city riots that broke out across the country, and April began with some of the most notable. More than 300 people, most of them police officers, were injured and extensive damage caused to property in the Brixton riots.
Brixton riots.
On a lighter note, April the 4th saw us glued to the Eurovision Song Contest to see if Bucks Fizz could give Great Britain its first win since the Brotherhood of Man in 1976.
Buck Fizz.
And they delivered. The catchy tune Making Your Mind Up combined a synchronized dance routine and gimmick of the Velcro skirts, proving to be a winning combination. Although some say it was the skirts that turned the judges' heads more than the song. Snooker.
No, that's giving me ABBA vibes. Buck Fizz, an English pop group that achieved success in the 1980s, most notably for winning the 1981 Eurovision Song Contest. I need more coffee. With the song Making Your Mind Up, the group was formed in January 1981 specifically for the contest and comprised it was made for the contest. Oh, the Velcro skirt gimmick lined up with a line that was when you see some more. So it was kind of funny to them. Show me all Apple Music. They are. Oh, Bucks Fizz. Okay, make your mind up. Y'all, I can't play it on iTunes. I mean, YouTube. I can't play it on YouTube. But the song is kind of cheesy, as you would expect, I guess, from the way they look. But it sounds really good. The mix is great. And I hear all these the production is awesome. Way to go, Bucks Fizz. You deserve the win. Put your clothes back on.
Snooker was gaining popularity as a televised sport in the early 1980s, and there was a new kid on the block who was about to dominate the sport for many years to come. 23-year-old Steve Davis took to the table in the final against Doug Mountjoy of Wales,
He's 23
winning
there?
18-12 to take the first of his 6 world titles.
He's only 23 there, y'all. He looks like 35 to me.
Into May, and Andrew Lloyd Webber unleashed his next smash hit musical on London's West End. Cats was based on the 1939 poetry collection Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot.
I hate cats.
And has since become one of the longest running shows in musical theatre history.
It sucks. I hate cats. I hate cats. No, I can't. Hate's a strong word. I don't hate it. But the story makes no sense. I think it was big at the time because the cats would run out into the audience and the audience was like, oh my God, they came down off the stage. There were cats everywhere. Whoa, back when that was a big thing. Now it's kind of normal and it's kind of cheesy, actually. But that went on to run for a long time. I think there's a Saturday Night Live sketch of backstage of the Cats cast. It was during the last season and they were all... They were all disgruntled and drinking and just, it was funny. Check it out. Will Ferrell.
To football, and Liverpool won the European Cup for the 3rd time in May.
All right.
By defeating Real Madrid by a 0-0 in the final at Parc des Princes in Paris. Alan Kennedy scoring the only goal of the game. Domestically, it was Aston Villa who ran out league champions, with Ipswich and West Brom putting up a decent title challenge.
Aston Villa, Ipswich Town, Arsenal, West Brom, Liverpool number 5, Manchester United number 8.
Norwich, Leicester and Crystal Palace were this season's fall guys. In Scotland, Celtic were comfortable league winners. Kilmarnock and Hearts faced relegation.
Kilmarnock? That's not the name, right?
Kilmarnock and Hearts faced relegation.
Kilmarnock. Okay, I heard colonic when they fill your colon up with water. Or is that an enema? I don't know. Butt stuff. Moving on.
We're halfway through the year, so let's take a break from the news and head off to the shops.
What do you mean?
Unemployment was high and money was tight in 1981, and those facts weren't lost on retailers in their advertising campaigns. Let's start at C&A, where they were focusing on the best quality for the lowest prices. A new stylish jacket from $15.99. Meanwhile, furniture retailer MFI made direct reference to the hard times in their adverts where you could get a full wall of bedroom furniture for £56.95.
Know your
They were
customer,
even
right?
urging you to buy before budget day. Meanwhile,
That's
the
good
Co-op
marketing.
had special offers on Electrolux goods, with washing machines from $239.95 and new vacuum cleaners from $49.95.
Wow. I don't know, is that a good deal? I feel like some of these prices are similar to now. Maybe not. I bet those were better quality. I bet now if you get a $50 vacuum cleaner, it's like, it'll last you 3 months or something.
Back to the news, and more riots ensued across the country. The focus this time on Liverpool,
Great.
where Toxteth saw the first ever use of CS gas by a police force. Unrest continued elsewhere in July, with disturbances in many cities across England. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher announced that police would be able to use rubber bullets, water cannons and armoured vehicles to bring the riots under control.
What is CS gas? She's doing that to her own population, y'all. The compound to blah 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 blah, blah also called O-chlor chemical formula blah blah blah. A cyanocarbon is the defining component of the a tear gas, which is used as riot control agent and is banned for use in warfare due to the 1925 Geneva Protocol. And Margaret brought it back. Way to go, Margaret. I don't like her, y'all. Moving on.
British Leyland brought an end to the manufacture of one of their longest-running models. The Austin Maxi bowed out as Leyland prepared for their newest model to replace it, the Maestro, which launched 2 years later.
Looks like
July
a Mercedes.
also saw the official opening of what was at the time the longest suspension bridge in the world, the Humber Bridge, linking the East Riding of Yorkshire with North Lincolnshire, and was officially opened by Her Majesty the Queen on the 17th of the month.
All right.
But I wondered if she paid her toll charge. There were changes to our community.
I don't think she has to pay tolls, sir. What is that bridge called? Is it still there? The Humber Bridge. Show me on the map. It's still there. Oh. Yeah, that's a good place for a bridge, I guess. It is long. That's what she said. It's gigantic. Look at the size of these little cars. Wow. That's amazing. Look at that. How long is it? 1.38 miles. Wow. Okay.
There were changes to our communications as well, and a new brand as the post office was officially separated from the telephone network, and so the British Telecom brand was officially launched. And Busby had plenty to say about it.
So, the post office and the phone company used to be the same? I gotta hear that again. Separated from the telephone network. Wow.
Telecom brand was officially launched.
Okay.
And Busby had plenty to say about it.
Blackburn 19, Berwick 19.
A 3-minute long-distance cheap rate call, dial direct. Cost less than 19p.
Time to get your Union Jack bunting
All
up and get that street party organised, because we had a royal wedding to celebrate. And on the 29th of July, the country almost came to a halt, and street parties and celebrations were in full flow as Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer tied the knot at St
That
Paul's
train.
Cathedral. The great and good gathered for one of the most watched events in British history. In fact,
I've heard
over
of it.
30 million people tuned in to watch the event on TV.
That bouquet.
Not much work was done that day. To August, and it was a battle of the fastest men in athletics. Steve Ovett and Sebastian Coe were both on top form in 1981, with Ovett setting the mile record time of 3:48.40 in West Germany, quickly followed by Coe, who broke the record again in Brussels. A record
Nice.
that was to stand until it was broken again by Steve Cram in 1985. Now September saw a change to the way we filled up our cars. From the 1st of the month, we no
Wait
longer
a
filled
minute. Record time
of
of
3:48.40 in West Germany.
3:48 in a mile? Wait. 3 minutes and 48, a 3-minute 48-second mile. That's 15.79 miles per hour. That's pretty fast. Wow. Okay, I can't run that fast. Not yet.
A record that was to stand until it was broken again by Steve Cram in 1985.
Wait, what was Steve Krem's record? Steve Krem. Oh, 3.46. He was 2/100ths of a second faster.
Now September saw a change to the way we filled up our cars. From the first of the month, we no longer filled up by the gallon, but by the litre. A move that many saw as an opportunity for the government to disguise increasing fuel prices. As if they would do a thing like that. Grenham Common Women's Peace Camp was set up in 1981 by a Welsh group called Women for Life on Earth, who had walked from Cardiff to RAF Grenham Common to protest at plans to site US nuclear missiles there. The camp was to remain until the year 2000 and was a scene of many memorable protests and incidents over the years.
Did they finally build it? Protest plans to site U.S. nuclear missiles. Where? Cardiff. I think we did. Oh, they did it again. 40 years later.
On that very same day, the first episode of long-running and iconic sitcom Only Fools and Horses was broadcast on BBC One.
I've heard of
The
that.
first episode, Big Brother, was something of a ratings failure, as was the whole first series, and it was no real surprise with this awful theme tune. It's no wonder they changed it. Another TV debut that was to become a ratings...
What did they change it to? Only Fools and Horses theme song. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that's more laid back. That's probably better. Yeah, that other one's obnoxious compared to the new one.
Another TV debut that was to become a ratings winner was a bit more innocent.
Postman Pat, and his black and white cat.
Postman Pat, complete with Jess, his black and white cat, came to our screens for the first time and quickly won the hearts of the nation's children. The concept ran right into the 2010s.
Yeah, I only recently heard of Postman Pat, and I think it was in a video, and I think I criticized the design of Postman Pat. I said he shouldn't have glasses, his eyes need to be bigger. And British people didn't really like that comment, I don't think. But I stand by my critique.
September ended in sadness as Liverpool Football Club lost its legendary manager Bill Shankly after suffering a heart attack at the age of 68. Bill led the Anfield side from 1959 to 1974 and was considered in world football as one of the best managers of all time. More job losses were announced in October when British Leyland closed 3 of its manufacturing plants. Factories in Coventry, Hemel Hempstead and Speke in Liverpool all fell silent, resulting in over 3,000 job losses.
That seems to be a common thing in the 80s in Britain, right? Factories closing, mines closing, deindustrialization. Thanks, Margaret. Thanks.
In November, England qualified for the 1982 World Cup with a 1-0 win over Hungary at Wembley. Ipswich Town's Paul Mariner scored the only goal of the game to send England to their first World Cup since 1970.
Wow, 11
After what
years.
was a pretty dismal year, we were all looking forward to a bright Christmas. And it's fair to say that Woolworths stepped up to the plate with this infectious Christmas TV advert.
I've heard that the Woolworths Christmas commercials are a thing now, right? They made a bunch of really good ones. This must have been early on in that trend.
And that wraps up 1981 in the UK. Don't forget to pop your comments below and tell us your memories of that year. It'd be great to hear from you and always good to hear what you were doing back in our featured years. If indeed, of course, you were actually born back then. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel as well for more updates on when we post brand new videos and help get the channel out to more people so they can enjoy all the best of years gone by as well.
Right
If
on.
you want to continue watching the videos, then there's plenty on screen to pick and choose from just now. Otherwise, I'll see you again on the next one.
All right. Hey, y'all, be sure to go to Retro Rollback and like and subscribe. This was interesting. There's a common theme that I'm noticing, like I said. That car company closed down. That pit closed down. The mine closings are coming. Privatization. Thatcherism. These people don't even know it's coming. Isn't that interesting? Well, y'all, I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me. And I'll see you next time. Later.